Thank you very much, Governor Kelly, and congratulations on the success that you're having. Thanks for the kind words, and also reaching out to find all the different available partners for this. Much like criminal justice reform, this is a fairness issue. And that's how we positioned it. And when you hear the testimony of some of the people that have or are living in your state and can't access work or have these obstacles in front of them that cost thousands of dollars and hundreds of hours when they have the skill right now and they've been certified somewhere else and they're in good standing. And if we can help with any of that, we're happy to. Like I said, I'd like to see this expanded everywhere across the country. Any questions or comments, or states that are doing other things? Governor Herbert, Utah.
Well, thanks to all three of you. I appreciate the leadership you've demonstrated on this and the issues you've brought to the forefront. A few years ago, we did what you're doing, Governor Ducey, in allowing military spouses to come, particularly those who are teachers, to come and have reciprocity from another state. I'm fascinated by your idea of expanding it to all other occupations, and interested to know what that will look like. But the question I have for you is, do you have any concern, whatever the threshold is in Arizona, as you've said, here's the threshold for qualification to do whatever, dental assistant, welder, teacher. Are you concerned that you're going to not meet that threshold when you have reciprocity from other states that may not have as high threshold? Not saying that's the case, but is that a concern for you, that you may not get the same kind of quality that maybe comes with reciprocity, would have lesser education?
Thanks, Governor Herbert. It's a good question, and it was certainly something that was on our mind because, whenever you expand something, there can be an unintended consequence. But with the diligence that we did looking at the other states, the requirements that were out there, the fact that there is a check and a balance, meaning you don't have your license automatically transferred. You have to check in and register, and then you're checked to make certain that you're in good standing in the state from which you came from. And then working with our industry leaders, they were also, because they're having a tough time filling these jobs and positions, they need to hire people. It was really some of the folks that sit on these boards that might operate the training schools that would benefit from someone having to delay weeks or months to go into the workforce. So it's been a good experience so far, and we think it's going to be a positive.
Well, I can tell I'm fascinated with it. I want to look into that a little more. It reminds me of becoming a free agent, the power of the worker. They have more options, more places they can sell their skills, and so I think that's a benefit to those in the labor force.
And I think in this booming economy, I hear from every governor that we all have issues finding employees, whether it's at the entry level or at the highest level. It's a way for us. We found that many of these boards and commissions were standing in front of us and blocking us as an obstacle. This is something that, like I said, we had bipartisan support on. We were able to leapfrog over that and expand our workforce. Governor Polis?
Yeah, it's really, we have reciprocity for military spouses in Colorado. We're working on opening it up more, but thanks for your leadership in Arizona on this. It's a great national model that we can learn from. One of the ones you mentioned, mixing up some of those boards so that they have more disinterested parties on it. We want to do that too, and there is, many of the statutes allow flexibility, but how do you get people that aren't in the game to apply and want to be on those boards, right? I mean, if you're trying to find disinterested lay people, it's a lot easier said than done. I mean, how do you go out and you get people who don't have, because you don't want people with a bias against or for, right? I mean, you really want a disinterested person to do something for their state. But do you have to be active yourself in that recruitment, or how do you get people to step up to those boards that are less glamorous, let's say? Sure,
good question. I think in my last 4 State of the States, I've gone after our boards and commissions because in many ways they've been bullies in this. And we had government-funded lobbyists that were actually sitting on these boards, and we did have the executive authority in the governor's office to terminate those lobbyists. I didn't know why the taxpayers should pay for lobbyists that want to block folks or protect industries from a fair and level playing field. So yes, we will have to be active in recruitment. I imagine you have friends that don't want to come work in the governor's office, or people you know that want to participate as a citizen in good government, and that will be just fair arbitrators on these boards to level the playing field. And I'm just talking about the amount of constituents that contact, want to get involved, but are outside of the industry, are not part of the crony people that block positive reforms and good decisions. Governor Bullock?
Yeah, Governor Polis, I'd say high school friends even. Meaning like for some of these boards, because we all have citizen representatives, like I'm just leaning on people, please. And then by and large, once they do it, they're quite engaged. And I don't know if any of you have had real successes. I tried the last legislative session. There's a lot of these boards that at the end of the day, I don't know that we should be regulating them. And so I had this thought, we're going to get rid of a whole bunch of boards. And I think by the end of it, I got rid of 4 boards. And it is a challenge legislatively as well, because there's always vested interest of saying, no, we have to be continuing to regulate these, even if the level of regulation is probably of limited utility.
Yeah, our posture on this has been, we want to make sure that we're measuring twice, cutting once. What's the purpose? What's the reason? How does it protect health or safety? We have been able to eliminate a number of boards, but we want to see this reform, and we think the best way to do it is to have unbiased citizens that sit and participate. Any other questions, comments?
I have a question.
Yes, please, Governor.
So is this occupational reform only for U.S. licensed occupations, not foreign licensed occupations?
It would be a United States license, and I would want to check the fine print, but I believe, like any reciprocity between the territories, would be accepted, but I'd want to double check before I made that commitment.
Governor, so we did a bill, this took a bill. We now count foreign work experience for cosmetology hours. So when we have an immigrant who did work experience in Mexico or China, wherever it is, that can count towards their requirement. So we're looking, it's not exactly what you said. I have no idea what those countries do for licensing, but if they have real work experience, it can count towards your hours so they can practice their trade sooner and start earning a living in Colorado.
Good stuff. Thank you. If there's no more comments or questions, I want to thank Governor Kelly, and I'm going to turn it back over to Governor Hogan and point out that we're under budget and ahead of schedule.